Just we were to learn today, Bez Hashem, we saw that there's no doubt about it, a bracha has to be chal. It's not like Birchas HaTorah that's chal on Kol HaTorah Kula, you don't have to have holding something or having in mind something. A bracha has to have connection to what you want to eat following the bracha. And therefore, in a case where a person made a bracha on a fruit and dropped that fruit, and there was no das to eat other fruit, or it was nothing lefanav, he would have to repeat the bracha, because the bracha has to be chal initially. Once the bracha is chal, then you have to come on to gerara, and that's a little easier, but the first initial bracha has to be chal. It has to be chal on either what you holding, and as we pass in lav dafka, that fruit, it's either if you had das to eat something else, or lefanav, either of the three, either this fruit, das, or lefanav is enough to connect that bracha to. If someone made kiddush and thought it was grape juice, it's really water. If he had das to drink more grapes besides this cup, or there was wine, grapes on the table, lefanav, then he quickly grabs the wine or grape juice, and that salvages both the bracha and the kiddush. Otherwise, if he had only mind to drink this grape juice, nothing else, and the kiddush is no good, and the guffin is no good. Once a bracha is chal, and now you want to extend it to a different food, so basically, you made a bracha on an apple, you could eat a second apple unconditionally, unless he had das, one apple, and that's it. He had a specific das, one and no more. Then in a chanam, he has to make a new bracha even on an apple. But typically, we eat with a stam das, and there, the same min you could eat without a new bracha. A different min, you want to take from an apple to an orange, either if the orange was lefana, b'shas he made the bracha, or he's still eating more apple, then he could extend it to an orange. Lefanav basically means it's there for the meal, even on the side, as long as it was there for the meal. Someone bought one roll, and as we explained, the ma'asav meichichin, he only wanted to eat one roll, and he goes and he sends someone to buy another roll, he would have to make a new bracha on that roll, because that's sort of like a das hafucha, only one roll. If during the eating the roll he decided to have another roll, then in echanami he could eat the second roll because it connected with the bracha. If someone defrosted or fried something, it's not a hafka that he's not going to eat more of that, because today defrosting and frying is a very quick job. Today we have the microwave, but lo yitzah would need extensive cooking. Maybe the fact that you cooked this amount, not more, would be like you bought this amount and not more. Rice won't pater, cake, cooked mezainis does pater cake, and I should have mentioned, cake of course paters rice, even though it's different, but it's a lower food, and a higher paters a lower food. Drink does not pater salads unless a person had das. If something is totally unexpected, it's hard to believe there was das. A bracha on a fruit platter covers all the fruits, although we should make on the most chashiv, so this shouldn't be negeya. But if you made on a mango, it patters even the grapes. That's upgrading it to a shiva saminim. Something that's freshly cooked cereal or brewed coffee is not enough of a double shalei bala oilam, and you could include that in the bracha. If someone bought a tuffle, he had no das to eat the tuffle, he would have to make a new bracha on the tuffle, even though the ikar is still here. Unless, as we said, adding sugar to a coffee, the sugar liquefies and becomes mamish one with the coffee. A person had in mind to eat, not the pater, that's enough. The ik is, it's part of the achila. Either he thought that he's going to wash, so he made a shackle on juice, but didn't have a mind to pater the fish, but it goes on the fish because lamaisa, he had a mind to eat the fish. Or he thought it doesn't pater, the ik is das lechel, and as we showed from Akiva Eiger to Ashar, you don't have to have das lifter. The Ramah says that you should have a das mefureshes, that basically includes anything, but it doesn't work once in a lifetime. We did mention a svara that maybe today we are more often than not das mefuresh, like the Ramah advises, because we are not as disciplined, not as limited to what's included in our meals. If something is totally unexpected, l'chara das mefureshes can't work unless taki. He thought of that. We saw a big chiddush, a bread meal includes everything, unless it's ma'asav meichichin, you bought one is not two, but if you got unexpected condiments or anything, basically a bread meal, you're allowed to eat more of any food because he included everything. That's why if a person left a location without benching, he forgot to bench. If he's at the second location, he could take any bit of bread in the second location, less than a kazayis even, eat that without a new bracha and bench there. Now, of course, sometimes when you leave location, there might be a hesach das on the entire achila. So then you have a problem with bracha rishayna. But we're talking about there wasn't a hesach das, he left suddenly, whatever the case might be. There's a special chiddush of an Eireach that he's better than a balabas. That even what the balabas has to make a bracha on a new food that he bought or unexpected, the Eirech's bracha is including everything, even the unexpected for the balabas. Eireach is lav dafka, a guest, a husband by his wife's, whose wife is serving him, a camp, a yeshiva, even by a simcha, even if they have a buffet, but it's constantly changing. If you are not deciding what is being served, you are an Eireach. Eireach, even if you decided at kan, but since Lamaisa we have a derech eretz, kol mashem balabayis asay, so it's like a heschadas betoyis, and therefore he couldn't eat that without a new bracha. A water fountain, I should have mentioned also a water cooler that people have in offices with these big water bottles, is the same idea. The water is there. It's not like the running water that you're making a bracha on a not lefanecha. It's all there. So theoretically, you don't have to extract the water to make a bracha on the water. You could hold the water fountain and you're holding 32 ounces of cooled water. But as we said, the fact you're not supposed to be mafsik between the bracha and the drinking, take the water out or put the water fountain on, and you don't have to worry about baltashkas. This is a tzarech, and also some say on water. Typically there's no baltashkas, but rather cooled water with an expense was incurred to make it cool. Probably there is baltashkas, but if it's needed l'shem mitzvah, it's not baltashkas. And as you said, saying a bracha and hoping the person will give it to you is certainly lacking in erlichkeit. It might be gezela. It's like talyu v'yohiv, but it's not a chasar in the bracha because it's not loy bala oilam, and hopefully with a little encouraging you could get that food so the bracha would be chal.